Welcome to Unique Leaders Live. I'm Megan DiMartino, and I am so excited today to have my dear friend LisaBeth Thomas with us to discuss all things about LisaBeth Thomas, but specifically today about her new program, Outwitting Fear. If you've never been with me on Unique Leaders Live, it's all about the guest. And I really love that because the success is in their story. We all have stories, all of us have stories. But the thing that I have found in reference to stories is that people will say to me, "How did you do all this? How did you do it?" It's like, I didn't just do it. It's in the story. It started years ago and it has just evolved from there. And so with every unique leader in their field, they have a story and the success is in that story. So without further ado, I would like to bring on and introduce you to LisaBeth Thomas.
Yay! Hello, my friend.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Welcome.
I'm so excited to be here. I love the new opening. That's so much fun.
Very fun.
That's new, right?
Today, the launch of that. We just decided last week that as we're building this coterie of unique leaders, it was time to feature them. It is on our YouTube page and certainly on the Facebook pages, but to expand it from there and to feature everyone that has been on. So yes, it's very
cool.
fun.
So LisaBeth, I want to be on it next week. I want my picture.
Absolutely. So with that intro, and I'm going to call you LB, as your friends call you, and that's LisaBeth. The Unique Leaders podcast, as I shared, it's all in the story. So we will get to your Outwitting Fear program, which I can't wait to get to, but I want people to know LB. And so many times when you're interviewed, and I know you've been interviewed over the years, that people focus on today and they focus on what you're doing today, the last few years of what you've done. But so much of who you are is in your story, meaning you just didn't do this program and you haven't just done what you're doing right now. So it really starts in that story. So let's get back to basics. And you are from where, Miss LB?
Oh, we're going way back. I was born in Grosse Pointe, Michigan. Okay. And I have two brothers and a sister and a stepsister. And we moved to Florida, not when I was about 6. We moved down to Boca Raton. And my dad was a trust officer at the Boca Raton Bank and Trust. And I remember hearing later, and this was in the early 60s, and I remember hearing later that somebody approached my dad about buying oceanfront property for $25 a foot. And he said, "That's crazy. That's highway robbery." It's like, oh my gosh, could you imagine getting that now? Woo!
Oh, man.
So, yep.
Everyone has their point of reference and perspective, and it just didn't fit into that narrative at that time. With 4 children and so forth, it just was not. So you grew up there.
Grew up there, and then, my parents divorced, and my mom, we moved back to Michigan, and so I really grew up in Michigan, and love it. And then my college years I spent in northern Michigan, which if you've not been to Michigan, anybody out there that's not been to Michigan, it is one of the underrated states. That Pure Michigan campaign, I wish I would have done that campaign because it highlights Michigan so well. And then I went to work in Pinehurst in North Carolina, and I was in New York. I've been kind of all over. And then I married a Texan, which is what got me to Austin. So that's...
So let's go back to that. So when you said Pinehurst, North Carolina and New York and so forth, what were you doing during those years?
Pinehurst, I was working at the resorts of Pinehurst. I was on the management team there, and I have to admit, I was my father's favorite child because he could golf at any of the 7 courses. He loved me the best then. Sorry, John. My brother might be watching, but he did. And I was in New York before that. I went to the Lee Strasberg School of Acting.
Oh, really?
I don't know if you knew that. Yeah, I went to the Lee Strasberg after college and loved it. I had classes with Lee. I had classes with Al Pacino. I had classes with Robert De Niro. It was very, very great experience. I was a cocktail waitress at the Essex House. And so that was a very unique experience. And yeah, it was a great experience. I was 21 years old. And right now, if my youngest Casey said, I want to go live in New York, at the age of 21, I'd been like, no. But I did. And I loved it. It was great.
So you aspired at that time to be an actor?
I was going to be an actor. I wanted to do that. And it was interesting because my mom and I went out there and we really used me going to Lee Strasberg also as a shopping trip and go to New York for a couple days. And I went, wasn't prepared. I was just kind of going along with the flow. And I was accepted on the spot. I had to do some audition things and some questions, but I was accepted. And I didn't realize how big that was. I really didn't. I was just this little Midwestern Michigan girl. And on the way back on the flight, I was reading an article in People magazine, and I think it was Barbara Mandrell. And she had applied to Strasberg. And in the article, it said 7 out of 400 people were accepted to Strasberg. Wow. If I would have read that on my way out, I would have been nervous and panicked. But I read that on the way home. And so I did that. I was there for 2 years. And it was a ball. The classes were great. Like I said, I worked at the Essex House. I lived in a five-story brownstone. We were the 5th floor. And it was a great experience. Well, you love New York. That's your jam right there, girl. So loved it. And then
hold on, LB. I hear this. Yeah. Should I take the earplugs out?
Yeah.
Yes. So because I hear some echoing with not echo, but a noise, an undercurrent. Yeah. So this is live, guys. And so we're just figuring it out. But now, did you hear that on the screen?
Yeah,
yes.
I can
hear the noise. Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay. So it was a rumble. And we don't want to rumble.
No. And I ate, so it wasn't my stomach.
No.
I did eat.
So back to New York. So did you stay after and try to break into theater, or go on from there, or what defining moment did that experience evolve to?
That experience evolved to while I was in New York, my college sweetheart had gone to work for Marriott and was actually transferred from the Poconos, of all crazy places. No, that's not true. He got to Marriott in Stamford, Connecticut, and then he went to Poconos, or Poconos first. I don't remember which one. But anyway, he ended up coming to Stamford, which was really exciting because then we moved in together. We lived in Connecticut. We lived in Rowayton. You probably know where that is, outside of Norwalk. And we got married. I had my daughter, Sarah. And then Scott got an opportunity to get a position at the Homestead, which is a beautiful resort in northern Michigan. So we moved back to Michigan. Sarah Morgan was just 2 years old probably. And I went to work for an advertising agency. And I was doing all their commercials and voiceover work, but I also got involved on the ad side. And that's where I got bit by the production bug. I loved being behind the camera as well as in front of the camera. I love that taking what's in somebody's mind as a client and making it happen. I love that.
So as it sounds like we're having technical difficulty here. And this has never happened before.
Yeah, I can't hear it on this end. So I don't know if you're just hearing it on your end.
So we'll just. So anyone hear a weird noise behind the scene? Nobody doesn't hear anything. It may just be here. So has anyone commented? No. So I don't know who is on right now, meaning watching.
Thousands.
The show will go on. The show will go on. So when you left New York and let's say for personal reasons, didn't go on to that world, and you built your family, but then you were introduced to the advertising world. But you also said you did voiceover. So obviously that background lent itself to what you did in the advertising world.
Correct.
In the beginning stages of it. So it led you to that because you have been working in the advertising world for over 30 years. So you've been building many different campaigns and dynamics using all of your talents, which are many.
Thank
and
you.
That's very exciting. Yeah.
Between advertising and video and film production, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And they all weave together. And at the time, when we take on different roles or take on different jobs, sometimes we go, why am I doing this? Is this going to make any difference? But when you look back, you go, oh, that's why, because that plugs in here and that experience plugs in there. So absolutely.
Exactly. So you both moved to Texas. Your husband with your children?
No, we divorced, and then I remarried, and I moved here to Austin. He was a Texan, and that's when I had Paul and Casey. And I was actually got involved in speaking. When I was at the resorts of Pinehurst, they asked me if I would create a customer service program, a training program. It's called Top Priority for CCA Club Resorts. And so I had that opportunity to go, and I actually went and I did some Disney, and I did some Hilton, and I did some Hyatt, and then I kind of stole bits and pieces from and made the Top Priority and put it into my own touches and Pinehurst touches, CCA, and trained 800 people. And that's when I started the love of speaking. I loved getting out there, getting in front of people, making them laugh, engaging. And while I was there, I thought, why don't I do this on my own? And that's when I took off and started speaking. And I was doing keynotes and speaking for about 5 years and absolutely loved it. And then I met the general manager of KView 24, Artie Derricks. We were at a chamber meeting, and she asked me if I'd ever considered working in marketing at a TV station. And I was like, no, I loved what I do. But then I was traveling about 20,000 miles a quarter, and I had 3 kids. And so I told her, and I said, yeah, maybe I would be interested in that. And so I went into KView, and that's where I met Mike and Kim Barnes. They weren't married yet, but we worked together back in the, I hate to say, early 90s. And again, advertising, marketing, and doing a lot of video production for the station. And so that's really my background and production. And then I worked my way through different opportunities. I was the president of the Ranch Studios, which was the first real sound stage here in Austin. And we had Hope Floats. We did Hope Floats there, Home Fries. I can't think of the other movies off the top of my head that we did. A lot of commercials. And then I went to work with Gerald Mann in Riverbend, and I produced the television show for, I think, 2 years. I think it was 2 years I produced that show with Gerald. And so I've had a lot of diversity in background.
I mean, tremendous diversity. Tremendous. But it's so interesting because it all, I've known you now for, a few years, and see you in so many different lights, meaning a mom and a partner and a friend and a communicator and, like you said, a speaker, but also a leader. And so you have so many roles that you weave together so beautifully with your beautiful personality and who God made you to be. And so then at some point you started your own agency, correct?
Yes. We were doing production solely, just production, and working with Texas Tomorrow Fund, Kathy Bonner, a bunch of really good opportunities. And we had an opportunity, Steve Gurasich from GSD&M, the G in GSD&M, had us do a commercial for him for his private investment of Falcon Head, which is out off of 620, that development out there. And we did it. And then he kept saying to me how creative I was. And he said, he goes, I have a $500,000 budget to advertise this development. What would you do with it if you had 500,000? And so I put together ideas. And when I got done with it, I said, well, this is what I would do with it. And he went, okay, you're hired, do it. And I was like, oh, wait, I'm not an agency. I'm a production house. He was like, no, you should do this. You'd be really good. So we started developing that campaign and that plan for Falcon Head, and it rained, and it rained, and it rained. And literally the $1 million, Steve called me and said, it rained 19 inches, and literally the golf course, all the turf they put down just went down the drain. They had lost everything they'd laid out. So they delayed the development. And he said, so I'm going to have to put this on hold for several months until I get the course built back up. But you should be an agency. And I was like, I don't want to be an agency. And then they kept referring business to us. And so 6 clients later, 7 clients later, we're like, oh, I guess we're an agency. And so that's how we backed into that. And we had LBTJ group, and then just LBTJ for, I think, 14 years was the total we had the agency. And our clients were amazing. Amy's Ice Creams and D.R. Horton and Precision Camera and the hospital at Westlake and Waterloo and Freebirds. We had some of the best iconic clients. It was a great experience.
And probably many of those were in the beginning of their early stages of their businesses. Like you mentioned, Amy's Ice Cream.
Amy's was 20 years at that point.
Oh, really?
And it was 20 years because she started in the 80s. And it was interesting is that she hired us to create commercials for her 20th anniversary. And from that, we did design work for years and years and years. And Amy is one of the nicest human beings you'll ever want to meet. She's wonderful. And even though I dissolved the agency about 3 years ago, that's when we met. I was in the middle of that.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yes.
I'm still working with several of those clients, which is really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Really nice.
And you continue to,
Yes.
because once a creative, always a creative.
Yes.
That's the thread that you all see here with Miss LB, because the essence of you is a creative. You would not have gone to New York, whether you knew what you were getting into or not, had you not had that in your spirit, Yeah. So I
love New York. One of my favorite things about New York is that I'm 5'10" and I always wear heels. Well, I'm not today, but typically if I'm in heels, they're 3 inches. So I'm over 6 feet. Back then I was 25 pounds lighter and, and the long full hair. And I remember being stopped on the street and somebody asking for my autograph. And I saw it and they looked at it and they're like, who the hell are you?
But interesting to know who they were thinking you were, but you were far better.
Let's just say that we do something someday.
I just want to say hi to some of our friends that are on visiting, and Michelle McLean. Hello,
Yay.
hello. And Miss Jan Gus Gibson and Sunny Braun and Kelly Freeman. Hello, Kelly. Yes, and Carmilla Butcher. And Carmilla is part of the Rise and Grind family. And Renelle Bazet, I don't know if I'm saying that name correctly.
Yeah, Renelle is the TWIB Lubbock chapter president.
Okay,
so
excellent.
Yes.
So did I say her name correctly?
Renelle Bays.
Bays, okay. And folks, I would so appreciate you sharing this out as you're watching with us and visiting with us and hearing LB's amazing story of her evolution of a leader, and a unique leader at that, in the, absolutely. But please do share this out, and it really will, people have so enjoyed these conversations that I've been doing with people, because it really is like I didn't know you were, at the Lee Strasberg School. I grew up in New York, and of course I did not go to the Lee Strasberg School. But, I've always loved New York City. I lived outside of the city, so of course it is part of my DNA. But everyone has a story, and your success is in your story, because you just didn't start an advertising agency and you just didn't become a keynote speaker. One step led to the next step. And it's so important for people to realize that, because it's people really, what I see with people, 20s, because I've been managing people over the years, and 20 somethings and 30 somethings and 40 somethings, they're like, oh my God, I'm over the hill. Over the hill. Over the hill. You're just beginning, kids, and so stay with what your whole focus is, but we'll get there later. So you, as you said, we met about that time when you were having a transition, and a major transition in your life. And transitions are never easy. They're never easy.
And I think it's lovely that you call it a transition, because I call it was a blow up. It was, and at the time, I did not think of it as a transition. And during that time with Renell on, and I want to bring up Texas Women in Business.
Yes, please.
This is our 10-year anniversary of Texas Women in Business, which a handful of us started, like I just said, 10 years ago. And when this happened, and I'm so thrilled, Lubbock is a chapter now, Houston has a chapter, of course, Austin. But one of the hardest things I had to do for the longest time, when my partner was also my husband, and when we divorced, there was some IRS filings personally that hadn't been filed that I was not privy. Anyway, it doesn't matter what that story is, but that's another story. But my world just blew up, and I had to, because I'm a leader, as you said, and I had a team, and we had a $2 million ad agency, and I had a team, and I had all these people looking up to me. I was like this all the time. Everything's great. Everything's great. Meanwhile, losing my business, I actually had to close the business, which is a really hard thing to admit when your identity is wrapped up in your business.
Right.
I lost my home. The IRS, and I had to finish off paying off all the mess from the personal. And so I was speaking when you and I met, Thinking Rich for Women, Sharon Lecter's, Jan helped pull all that together. And the next day my mom died. I mean, it's like in a 3-month period, losing my business, having to sell my house. I was homeless for 6 months, and my mom died. So when you say transition, I was like, I remember going to breakfast or coffee with Cynthia Sutherland, and she asked me how I was, and I just cried. And if anybody talked to me, I would just cry, because I didn't know what I was going to do. My whole identity was my work.
Right.
Embarrassing. And I had to write clients, and I had to write everybody I knew saying, I'm shutting the business and I owe you money. But it was like literally the IRS would come in, take money, which wasn't my money, it was client money, but they just kept coming in, taking the money because it was profitable. And so finally I had to stop the bleeding, and that's how I did it. And, but where I was going with that is that the biggest source of relief, I don't remember why I was on stage at Texas Women in Business. We were at the country club, and I don't remember because I wasn't president at the time, but I was up there introducing something. I don't remember what they had me come up to do, but I said everything that was going on in my world. I was so tired of faking it. My friends knew, Jan and Rick knew, and Copeland and Melinda and my family knew, and my close tribe knew. But I was tired of saying everything was all right when I was literally going home and crawling in bed with a bottle of wine. It was cheap wine because I didn't have any money. It was like the bottom shelf wine, but I didn't know what else to do. And standing up on that stage in front of 110 women, well, I don't remember how many were there that day, and verbally vomiting everything that had happened in my life. It was the most freeing thing. I didn't have to hide anymore. And Megan, the beautiful thing from that, there was a line of women to talk to me saying, oh my God, thank you for sharing. I've been hiding behind this. Have this mask on. This is happening. My world is falling apart. I cannot believe you, of all people, they're talking to me, not anybody different than anybody, but because I have a platform of TWIB, that I came out and said it, gave them the freedom to come out and take that weight of pressure off. So
but I just want to say this, but like you said about that weight, but right now, today, the 28th of August, 2020, to be transparent like this, LB, is so not only generous of spirit, but again, how many people, like you said, that people came up to you after that and said, thank you. This is the same difference of being transparent, because now, not just COVID-19 period, but everyone has challenges. And everyone. And that is the other thing that I want to, if I'm going to use the word expose, but in this is have people share. Now, you're being very generous of spirit, but I have found so many people have been, and that helps so many people. Roland Waits, who's the assistant police chief in Georgetown, I interviewed several months ago. I had no idea where he was going to go with a point, and I'm not going to repeat it here, but he shared something very personal, and it's very poignant actually of what's going on right now, but the pressure on being a police officer and the responsibility. And but it was so amazing of he being that open and sharing that. And so I say the same thing with yourself, that it's just a gift. So I have a question. Do you have earphones? Because Elizabeth is asking, do you have a headphone or any, because there is a wobbly behind you. Do you have anything that you can plug in? If not, we'll just continue on. It's not tragedy.
Right here.
Because it's on her end.
I mean, I'm sitting here doing nothing. Let me see what I've got.
Don't worry about it. It's okay. We'll just continue on, because
Jen actually texted me saying that she can hear me clearly, but it was on your end. So,
and she's identifying that it's, but whatever. But okay. So, I think that it's clear enough that let's just continue on, and don't worry about it. Because I have
earphones right there if you want me to do it.
Well, let's try it.
Okay.
Let's see. What time is it?
4:30.
Yeah. Good time.
They're all tangled. They were wadded up on my desk. But
that's what I like. That's what I love about live. We can just forge on and just check it out. If not, we'll just.
I'm getting there.
Keep it. Okay. Well, again, folks, that this is for you to really identify that we are no special people here. We all have a story, and these stories are what creates us of having that, and I'm going to use the word hope, but meaning to not stop, because LB could not stop if she wanted to, because this is what is in her DNA. This DNA of creating and sharing and giving that hope to all, but then also being that creative whiz kid that she is. Okay.
Is that better?
Much better.
Much better.
Okay. So
Yeah.
it was me.
Yeah.
It's all that energy and electricity.
So, oh my gosh, yes. Folks,
Okay.
as you get to know this beautiful lady, that energy is just personified. Okay, so as I was saying, just the transparency is such a gift. And so, but I don't know if you were listening to me, but you could not stop at that point if you wanted to, because that is what is in your DNA. That is who you are. creative, but also sharing.
Yeah.
And so you've continued to put that together over these last few years. So you now are doing, agency work and creative work and also filming, some filming work. And so that's very exciting. You want to share anything about that?
Well, still continuing doing all my agency work, but right now I'm working on a hunting and fishing show of all crazy things. Lone Star Surf and Turf with Robert Lewis. He's a great man, a great host. He's had the show for a couple of years. And what's really exciting about it, when he approached me, I immediately thought of a technology that Jason Gibson is involved with. And it's shoppable video. It's shoppable programming, shoppable commercial. So you literally can be watching on your computer, your smart TV, a long form or a commercial, and you can, while the show's going, drag and buy. You can put it into a shopping cart and buy later, or you can click on it and get information. Like I could be clicking on your blouse or your necklace and find out information or buy it. So as soon as he approached me, I got really excited about that. So we've now put the technology in a sizzle reel, and that's going in front of Cabela's and Academy and a couple other places. And I have a junior chef cooking challenge show that I'm going to do the same thing with. So that's really been fun doing those kind of projects.
And very innovative. I mean, very cutting edge innovation.
Oh yeah, it's very cool stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm working closely with that company and looking at other long form content or commercials that it makes sense for, which is everybody, of course.
Exactly.
Everybody. So that's that one. And then I've been working on this course for a year.
But it's part of you as well. So let's talk about that, because again, what was the heart, soul, not just motivation, because that's really not the right word, but what put in your heart to start creating this course? I mean, you're a creator, that goes without saying, but what put that in your spirit?
Well, I wondered why. And to go back, most of my life, I've thought of other people's opinions were stronger than mine, better than mine.
Mm-hmm.
I put myself second. I would make sure everybody else was happy. There was times that I wouldn't stand up for my kids with my ex-husband, or I wouldn't stand up for myself. It was weird. And if there was a conflict at work, or if there was an objection from a client, I would just kind of, I wouldn't stand up for myself. And bottom line, I started thinking that, what is wrong with me? Why do I keep doing this? Why do I put myself second? I couldn't understand it. So I had a couple coaches. I never saw a therapist, which I should have. I should have found Sarah Kyle, who is the brilliant therapist out there, but I never thought of therapy. People asked me if I was depressed, and I was like, no, because I didn't know what depression was. I had no clue. I'd never been, so I didn't know what that meant. Getting in bed with a bottle of wine every night, folks, if that's depression, I didn't realize that. But during this time, I had been asked by a group called Discovery Austin, to handle their marketing, help them with their marketing. And so I got involved, and they said, and this was 7 years ago now, they asked if I would be willing to go through the program to see, so I could understand the marketing. And I loved it. I found out a lot of things about myself. And since then, I became a facilitator. So I've been facilitating for 7 years with Discovery. It's once a month. We haven't done it this year because of COVID. But I'm still figuring things out from all that. So between coaches, self-discovery, discovery, I really started realizing how fearful I was, how fear had been driving me. And we all have fears. We all have fears that hold us back. And so there was a point where actually I talked to Bob Posey, who has the rights to discovery. And I was talking to him, I brought it up because one day it dawned on me, and this is so silly that I did this. I was here at the apartment in Austin. And I remember thinking, my fear isn't just in my relationship. My fear of not being good enough or not being worthy, those are my two core fears. Mm-hmm. Those go with me to work. And I know that sounds so silly but it didn't dawn on me because I kept thinking about it in my relationship with my ex and with my relationships with people. But it never dawned on me that not being good enough and not being worthy walked out the door with me, went with me wherever I went. I put it on every morning and went with me. And I thought, no wonder why I didn't stand up for things at work, or no one, and so I thought we've got to help people find what those core fears, not the presenting fears like being rejected, or that's a big one, fear of failure. Well, what's underneath that? What is down below all that? And once you find out what that is down below, wow, when you can take that off and you can see what it is that's really driving our actions or inactions, the world is your oyster because now you don't have fear in your way. Mm-hmm. Yes. So I talked to Bob and a couple of the people on the board about a year ago saying, I want to do this. I want to do Outwitting Fear. I want to get it out there. I want to have something that can go and reach people because it's huge. It's absolutely huge. So it took me about a year. And I took components of discovery. I took components of Deepak Chopra. I took some Tony Robbins. I took things that I learned myself. I took things from you, from Jan, from different people, experiences, and put together this program. And I launched it yesterday, and I'm so excited about it. But that was finding out that this pattern of fear was driving me. And then I would talk to people, and they would, when we would go through this process of figuring out that core fear, every single person would go, "Oh my God, I had no idea. Mm-hmm. I had no idea."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, first off, I have taken the course. You asked me to, go through it, and
you've done discovery. You love
discovery, but I'm talking about Outwitting Fear. And it is a wonderful tool because it's not complex, it's not long, it's very focused, it's very succinct, and it, like you said, it helps you then go to the meat of what is going on and identify it. It's really outstanding. Yes, I did discovery, and yes, that because of you and Jan and others that had gone through it, and it was an amazing experience and a very helpful experience. And we could go on and on, but about that. But as you were speaking about, what you put it on, so to speak, I do a thing called Motivation Monday, and this past Monday, and I normally do a quote and then speak around it, but I saw the word ambition and a definition of it. Just in Facebook, people put on quotes, and it just stopped me in my tracks because I'm older than you, but we are people that have goals, dreams, and aspirations. And that when I was creating things, like back before I even started my own business, but I was a younger person getting started, that word actually had a negative connotation. Oh, you're such an ambitious woman.
Yeah.
And so with that, I normally don't go personally, but what I wanted when you were speaking, LB, and because that was just Monday, and this definition was ambition, working hard, for goals. Well, that's today's, Webster's dictionary, right? But back in the day, it was like I would hear, and I tried not to buy into it, but on the other side of the coin, it was something that I heard often. I did. And so then you put those mantles of negativity on, and then they have layers of things. And, I'm not good enough. I'm ambitious, but why who am I?
Who do I think? Yeah.
Who do I think I am? And so it's those layers, and it is such a awesome tool. And that's the thing. This course is a tool.
It's so
get in.
simple too. That's the what you said, how we've got it worked out in the process. It's simple. It doesn't take long to do. It takes an hour, maybe two, depending on how much time. I had a woman email me the other day. Well, actually, she called me and said, I journaled 6 pages. It took me a while because I kept digging and digging and digging. And I was like, oh my gosh. I had one woman say that she she quit her business. She turned it over to her partner. And I went, oh dear God, either that's really good or really bad. I don't know. But then she said the next day she put down a business plan of something that had been noodling around in the back of her head.
Right.
And within 3 days, she had $1 million investor into this.
Wow.
It's been unbelievable. I've not received one negative comment. People are coming back to me saying, I dug down deep. I had someone the other day say, I'm exhausted. And now I know why. I put everybody else first. I'm not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
Of course I'm good enough, but I thought I had to keep doing it, making sure everybody thought I was good enough.
Right.
So and we all have something. And the interesting fact to me is that we're born with only 2 fears. We're born with fear of falling and fear of loud noises.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. All these other things, fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of success, fear of whatever it is for you, we learn from our parents, our siblings, social media. I have a friend of mine that he saw a note that a teacher had written his mom about him. And it was, and then that not good enough. He was 8 years old. He's now 61, carries that in to this day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's been plaguing him until he went through it and was like, he said, I wish I would have done this 30, 40, 50 years ago. But
yes. The aha moments of it. And so what a gift. What a gift. And, that is, I'm not saying that it's yippee-ki-yay that you went through certain things over your life. I'm not saying that at all. But without those experiences, you wouldn't have this point of reference.
No. And I say my life has been wonderful. My life has been horrible. I mean, there's been some amazing good. There's been some beyond, which is, I won't even go into some of those. But every single thing of that brought me to today. And I'm grateful. So now every night I thank God for the journey. I'm grateful for the journey, because if I could figure out what was holding me back and getting in my way, and to help other people find that too, that freedom, that feeling of freedom from that.
Mm-hmm. It's extraordinary.
It's extraordinary. It's extraordinary. And when I get in an argument with my guy, it's so funny, because if we have an argument, I immediately go to, wait, is this that I'm not good enough? Is this I'm not worthy? Is it that I don't want to be loved? I go through quickly what it could be. No, I'm just pissed at you. I'm just mad. That's it.
Simple.
But he knows what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
And there's times that I go, oh, I'm looking at you through like cracked lenses of my past and not feeling good about, myself.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
mm-hmm.
And that's not fair to him. That's my stuff.
But I'm sure at this point, then, like you said, he goes through that and knows what you're doing. He'll probably go, the checklist is, what is she doing?
Yeah. Oh no, he'll laugh and he'll go, you sure? You sure it's not you? You sure? Yeah.
So I just wanted to say hello. Oh, Rayma.
Yay, Rayma.
And Chad Anderson and Susan Colgrove. Hello, hello. Welcome to Unique Leaders, Miss LB Thomas.
Yeah, Rayma just went through the course this week, which was really exciting. I was really excited that she did. And I won't share her stuff because that's her stuff to share.
Absolutely. But what I wanted to add to that is that this LB and I a little more seasoned than others that might like Rayma, but it's
we don't look it though.
Early or too,
We don't look it though.
No,
we look fabulous.
But never too early or too late. Like you said, I wish I had done this years ago. I wish the tool had been there years ago. And so it's never too early or too late, ever. And that's one of the things I took away from just superficially from discovery was the age range.
There's 16, 17-year-olds
Yes,
to 80-year-olds in that room. Yeah.
exactly. It just was, and everyone working together. It was
Yeah.
a great. So one of these days, the world will open again. And
But in the meantime, in the meantime, because fear is rampant, and it was Rick Gibson, God bless him, he passed away 4 months ago today. I was reminded by Jan. It was Rick that said, you've got to get this out of your head and stop talking about it and get it digitally done. And I said, Rick, I don't know how to do that. I would have done it. And luckily he's, as Jan says, the smartest man on the planet. He was like, give it to me, I will do it. And so he was one that kick-started me and kicked me in the butt and helped me get it going. And I'm honored to say that the program is dedicated to him. And because Outwitting Fear wouldn't have happened without Rick saying, do it. And so I'm
no,
very grateful to
absolutely.
Rick.
And really, we've been blessed by Rick in so many ways. But yes, and that's wonderful. That meaning that you can dedicate it to him. To
Yes.
such a special
Man.
Special man. So with that said, how can people, you said it launched yesterday.
Yes.
So where do people go? And we'll put this in the body of all of this.
Okay. It's real simple.
Have no fear, but
have no fear. There is outwittingfear.com.
Okay, cool.
Right there. And Elizabeth, who does all your stuff, does all my stuff. And so she knew exactly how to, she created my landing page and worked with Rick actually and pulling things together for Outwitting Fear. So yeah, outwittingfear.com. The course is $97. It's not an expensive course. It's, I wanted to make it affordable so that it wasn't, oh, I can't do it, I can't afford it. Yeah, for you to find the freedom from fear. And so far, like I said, I have already stacks of testimonials of people finding freedom and ahas and breakthroughs. Some are really deep and some are like, no wonder why my sister and I don't get along. I had one of those, but now I know why. So yes, and then I also, out of every course that's sold, donate to Discovery because they were instrumental in helping me get to where I am today. So it's all a win-win-win for everybody.
The other thing I was just thinking about when you said the $97 is that I took it a couple of weeks ago, went through it a couple of weeks ago, and we're talking about it, and I'm saying, I'm going to go back and do it again. And it's a type of thing. It's like when you read a book that you love and you like, Think and Grow Rich, for instance, or something like that, or How to Win Friends and Influence People. You might read that once a year or something, but every time you read it, something else comes out every time. And that's because of you evolving.
Yes.
So
and what's nice, the platform is Logic Tree, which is a phenomenal company here in Austin. And so you can go through it, and as you type, it comes on your page. It's one of those that it's, as you type your answers, the other questions come up, and you have PowerPoints and you have videos, short videos, PowerPoints, and then that. So you can save it or you can print it out, but then you can go back again and start over. Because you can do this as many times. And putting the course together with Logic Tree, I went back and I would redo situations and make sure that it was working. And there was a couple times that I was like, oh wow, I never even thought that was underneath all that, but I kept doing it.
Yeah.
So keep doing it.
That's my point, is keep doing it, because it will reveal itself again and again in other things. Yeah. Well, one of the things that I end Unique Leaders with is a question to my guests. And one of the books that I do believe you have read this, but even if you haven't, there's a book by Sharon Lechter and Greg Reed called 3 Feet.
Oh, 3 Feet from Gold. Yes. I read that and then met Sharon and I was like, hey, that's you. That's you right here. Yes.
But it's a great story. And, a guy from the East Coast goes to the West, stars in his eyes, buys a piece of land to mine it. And he was 3 feet from gold before he gave up. How many times have we done things like that? But again, this is one of the things that this course will help you with, to identify things that will help you not abort your dreams and goals.
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing, though, I really love from that book is Sharon Lecter, I suppose Greg Reed's success formula. And, it's passion plus talent times association plus action, times action plus faith equals success. So we're not going to go into all of those points, but I ask everyone, what is your passion and what is your talent?
My passion is truly helping people find that freedom. There's nothing better, I think, of being a small instrument of God that maybe plants a seed or says something that someone goes, oh, that has been hurting my heart for so many years, and now I have freedom. So that is my passion, and that's why this course is so important to me.
And your talent?
Oh, I have so many, Megan. Do we have time? Do we really?
We still have a couple of minutes, girl. I mean, we have about 3, so
we got 3 minutes.
maybe.
I am very creative. I love that creative. I think another talent, I don't know if it's a talent. I do love people. Again, I don't know if that's a talent or not, but
But ownership of people. Yes.
Ownership of people.
Just the heart.
I have a good sense of humor. I use it to my advantage whenever I can. I am the boringest one of the Thomas children. If you're ever at a family reunion with my brothers and my sister, I'm like the one in the corner because I can't keep up with my siblings.
Oh,
they're
wow.
hilarious. Yeah, they're great.
So yes, it just creative and the empathy and love of people.
Yeah.
And yes. No. Well, like you said, I couldn't agree more that you have so many talents. So it's the laundry list is there.
Humility.
I think that's deep in the heart of Texas and Michigan, and maybe a little New York. You are humble. That's and I think, but back to what you uncovered about yourself. Am I, good enough? Am I worthy enough? Meaning, forget about that.
Okay.
As
Well,
they say in New York.
You brought up, and I want to say this, and I know we only have another minute, but 3 feet from gold.
Mm-hmm.
And you were saying, when you want to quit. I wouldn't have done this course if it wouldn't have been for Rick and Jan. I'm going to give you a shout out, Jan, because Jan had been saying it too. But Rick is the one that said, I'll help you because I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. So who's going to listen to me? Why would I? But now this is my experiences, my take on some different things. But it would have been really easy for me to say, no, other people can do better than me. I'm not. And there was a couple times that I thought, But so I was really proud of myself when I hit that send button yesterday, that it went out. I did it, and I did not. And I am worthy, and I am good enough because I'm taking just all of my experiences and putting it into something that hopefully will help others. So I was 3 feet from gold.
Bravo enough, kiddo. I cannot say bravo enough because, again, back to the genesis of this Unique Leaders Live is that, I didn't start this because I said, I wanted to, it just evolved. I am very interested in people. I love knowing about people. So that's really from my heart. But what I have found, LB, is that people have said to me, wow, I'm really enjoying this. I'm really enjoying hearing about people because superficially people perceive things. And so this is an opportunity for people to really glean the heart of different people. But this one is very special to me because this course, and I mean this sincerely, because it is so important for all of us in this world to get rid of the baggage that we are carrying, to be the person that God created us to be.
Yeah, that's getting in your way. And, I keep saying not worthy, not good enough. Those are mine. There's other core fears. Those just happen to be mine. And I'm not proud of them, but they are mine. And I am proud of them now because I own them. I take responsibility, and it's a part of who I am. So
it's just bravo. I'm so proud of you that you hit that send button.
I am too.
And to our dear friend, Rick Gibson.
Yes.
Just, yes, to our dear friend.
When the first course downloaded, when somebody purchased the first course, I screamed. I was like, oh my God, this is going to help. And she's a lawyer here in town. And so she wrote me about an hour later, which I was really surprised, because she did it right away and said, there's been something so heavy that's been so painful to me. I didn't realize how painful it was. And I got right to it quickly, simply. And with that first step of finding out what it was, she said, I felt relief for the first time in months. And
Yes.
I thought, wow.
Yes.
So I'm so excited. I'm going to talk to her on Tuesday because I'm really excited to talk to her. So,
but again, folks, I just want to reiterate that it is because we all have paid for courses and they're so bogged down with so many, addendums and this and it confusing and over. This is so straightforward, so easy to do, but crystal clear on helping you identify what LB is speaking about. So I just so encourage you to go to that website, outwittingfear.com, and just get going. Just like
let's get started. Let's dig into that fear.
The first person that did it, your attorney friend, so or colleague or whomever. But thank you, my love, for joining us today. Really, I so appreciate that, and I know it's going to really touch people and help them outwit fear.
Yes.
So stay tuned. Stay in the background in the green room, LB, and let me just say goodbye to our guests. Okay.
Bye. Thank you. Love you.
Love you, and love them. So again, thank you everyone for joining us. I'm just, I think I said hello to everybody that has been with us today, but do share this out, because not only will it introduce people to this amazing course that LisaBeth Thomas has created, but also just other, you go to YouTube and other Outwitting, other unique leaders' lives are there, and you'll find so many interesting people. I mentioned Roland Waits a little bit ago, the assistant police chief of Georgetown, Texas, but there's others that are national people. Next week, we're going to have Kathy Tajanel, who is the partner of Bob Berg, the Go Giver series, and she has an amazing story herself. So she will be here next week with me on Unique Leaders Live. It's all about you. So please do share. And also, if I don't know which Facebook page you're coming in on, but if you're coming in on my personal one, please friend me on the official Megan DiMartino Facebook page, because we're building that business page as well. Thank you again for joining us, and we will see you Monday on Motivation Monday. Be blessed.